APC set up state congresses as a party continued to strategize ahead of 2023 with the defection of the Anambra deputy governor a few days before the governorship election in the state. And lawmakers today into action over the 2022 budget presented by President Muhammadu Buhari, and they've scrutinized the details of the appropriation bill. Hello everyone, welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. We're now Abuja studio in the nation's political capital. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. Let's begin by telling you that the 2022 budget proposal has passed the second reading in the Senate and on the floor of the House today. Federal legislatures debated on some of the details of the budget and scrutinized it. During the debate, lawmakers note that the budget deficit in the 2022 appropriation bill and the proposed borrowing are a bit on the high side. For some legislators, they feel that the foreign loans are, if deployed for infrastructure, development, wealth, and job creation, then the borrowing should not be regarded as alarming. Take a listen to some of the debate on the floor of the Senate.
Mr. President, if they be geared towards wealth creation, employment opportunities, increased productivity, and better infrastructure facilities, I think it's going to be a welcome development.
73% debt to revenue ratio is the highest among African countries of our level, which is extremely high. We are the highest country in Africa in terms of debt service and revenue ratio. And we really need to watch that.
Well, the Green Chamber had their own debate on the appropriation bill. Take a listen to their own debate and the argument they had, some portions of several hours of the arguments over and the deliberation before it was passed in second reading.
There are complaints, genuine complaints, that some agencies are refusing to implement the budget, even though they have received up to 60 to 70% funding.
When we pass this budget, they shouldn't wait till month of March. They should start the implementation from January. And of course, the procurement processes should also be reviewed to make sure that they don't waste people's time, because most times it's not about the fund release, it's about the procurement processes that take too much time.
There you have it, some of the debates. Now it's past second reading, and the promise they made to the president was that they will pass it before the end of the year. As is it not this second or the third year now that we've had a regularized budget cycle? We'll see how this one pans out, and some of the details are already coming out. Well then, let's check out some more political stories for you on our political roundup.
We begin at the presidential villa, where President Muhammadu Buhari has been meeting with state executives on varying issues. First, he met with the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, who asked the federal government to provide support funds to enhance ranching in Edo State, while reiterating that the state is not in support of open grazing. And just days to this weekend's APC State Congress's stakeholders of the APC in Taraba State, under the auspices of Forum of Contestants, are threatening to boycott the Taraba State Congress and join the opposition party over allegations that the party has been hijacked by some high-profile personalities, including the state caretaker chairman.
It urged the National Secretariat of the party to urgently intervene and ensure the provision of level playing ground, justice, fairness, and equity to all members, particularly contestants to various positions in the party.
Meanwhile, the man in the eye of a storm and the caretaker committee chairman, Elsudi Ibrahim, denies involvement in any acts contrary to the constitution of the party, saying the national headquarters will determine their fate.
There is no single role given to the state In fact, even those returning officers who are called local government, Congress committee, it is at the absolute discretion of the Congress committee from the national level to accept or even reject.
Meanwhile, APC grassroots stakeholders across the 21 local government areas of Adamawa State are also protesting over alleged zoning of chairmanship position to the Southern Senatorial District of the state. The aggrieved party chieftains, while addressing a press conference in Yola, the state capital, are warning against imposition of unpopular candidates and party faithful, while asking party supporters to turn out en masse to elect their candidates through free and fair election.
We call this conference to make our position clear beyond any element of doubt that the forthcoming State Congress, which is scheduled to take place on the 16th of October 2021, must reflect equal distribution of positions across the 3 senatorial zones and local government areas respectively.
In 24 days to the Anambra State governorship election, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Osman Alkali Baba, is reminding the police mobile force to maintain professionalism and teamwork with other sister agencies during the polls. At a meeting with squadron commanders in Abuja, the IGP says plans are underway for more weapon and operational vehicles to enhance their operations while vowing to deal with erring officers.
You must remain apolitical while being ruthless with violent elements and ill-guided political talks that may wish to test our common will to deliver a transparent and credible electoral outcome.
Well then, let's tell you that the Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Nkem Okeke, has stormed the All Progressives Grand Alliance, the ruling party in Anambra State, to the All Progressives Congress APC. President Muhammadu Buhari received the Deputy Governor today at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Dr. Okeke was led to the President by the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman and Yobe State Governor May Malabuni and Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma. The President was glad about the courage of Dr. Okeke for dumping his party, ABGA, for APC. Take a listen to the President.
For you to come out courageously, bring along your supporters, and explain to the rest of people that this is the best direction for your geopolitical zone, this is the best position for you. I respect your courage, and I congratulate you, and I welcome you to the party.
Then the governor, Hope Uzodinma, who looks like the man who orchestrated the whole plan, I'd like you to take a listen to him.
President recalls since after a visit to Imo State, where he addressed the Southeast leaders, the narrative over there has changed. The Southeasterners have been able to see truly who you are. Mr. President, in that occasion, you spoke ex tempore, and you spoke the mind of our people. And our people believe that your policies that is meant to integrate and unite Nigeria will be a strong legacy you will leave behind. No wonder even elected members of the National Assembly are joining APC now, even to the extent that the Deputy Governor of Anambra State has just joined. I'm also aware that if the governor has his way, he will join.
The governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma. This is not the first time we're seeing members of APGA leave APGA for the APC. Just a few weeks before the governorship election, we've seen at least 6 of the lawmakers in the state cross to the APC. But what is the reasons, or what are the reasons for the defection by the deputy governor, who, in the wake, just a few weeks before election, he has left his governor and moved to the APC? Take a listen to his reasons.
Of Anambra State for the last 7.5 years, I don't think I've contributed positively the way I would love to contribute to society development. Of course, the problem is always deputies are called spare tires, and I believe that I have a lot more to contribute to society, and I can do a lot more. And when APC approached me about joining the party, I thought, seriously about it, and I felt, well, if I want to make a contribution to society, you can only do two ways, either in the private sector or in the public sector. And I'm more comfortable in the public sector. And I believe that with you as president, what I can do before we hand over March 17th next year, that hopefully after that I'll still be able to contribute to your administration, Mr. President.
That's the Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Nkem Okeke. So we now have an APGA governor in Anambra State and an APC deputy governor in Anambra State. What an interesting scenario playing out in that state. But today is not the day to discuss Anambra politics. We're going to be discussing some national politics and issues relating to our elections. Tonight, we'll be getting to know the minds of the APC as relating to 2023, the place of the youth in the APC. Now, these defections, what does it mean for the APC? The names that we are hearing, the Bola Tinubu, the VP, Yemi Oshibajo, Yaya Bello, and a host, Kaude Fayemi, a host of the names that have been mentioned in the APC. What does this mean for the party? We hear from one of the chieftains of the party tonight on the program. But first, let's touch base and give you more insights into the decision of the National Assembly, especially the Senate yesterday, on the election, the transmission of results and the issues of electronic voting as amended by the Senate, which was reported likely that they made a U-turn based on their past or the last decision as stands on the matter as an entity. But tonight, we're taking a different dimension and look at the whole issue. One, we're taking a look at the security implication of electronic transmission or manual transmission of result. And we're also taking a look at the ICT, because this is basically technology. So how will it play out in our elections? So tonight, we're going to break it down for you to get a sense of what this means altogether. I'm being joined tonight by two experts in their different field, a security expert and a former DSS director, Mr. Mike Ejiofor is here with us in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiofor, for coming in. For having me. And from Lagos, virtually, is Mr. Gbenga Sheson. He's an information technology expert and the executive director of Paradigm Initiative. He joins us from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Sheson, for joining us tonight on the program. Perhaps I should begin with you. It's good to see you, Mr. Sheson. Let me ask you, should we go full-blown transmission of electronic transmission and voting? First and foremost, you are one of those I spoke to when the issues of whether or not Nigeria is capable of having electronic transmission of result, whether or not our technology base is capable of handling such a task. And now that it does look like the Senate have dropped that debate and they are aligning with some of their colleagues in the Senate and in the House, are we ready for such a transition from manual to electronic transmission of results and some kind of electronic voting, Mr. Sheson? Can you hear me now? If you're not, I can hear you, but can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, finally. Thank you.
Oh,
right.
Great. Thank you. That's been fixed. Buttons these days and technology. And that's why we called you here tonight. So give us a sense of whether or not we have what it takes to go into that kind of technology in our election. Transmission of result and electronic voting. Are we ready for it?
Thank you, Shem. And, thanks for having me here. I think we should take INEC's word for it. INEC says we're ready. INEC says that we have the requisite technology to be able to transmit election results. I thought it was funny to hear conversations around the need for 3G to transmit election results. But we are ready. Is Nigeria's technology landscape perfect? No. Is there more work that needs to be done? Yes. But we do not have the luxury of being able to exclude, the opportunity of using technology. As you are aware, and I'm sure everyone else, there are regions in Nigeria today that we cannot physically transmit results from to collation centers without having to go through infrastructural problems, which means that we actually do need technology, and the technology is available. One of the reasons why I believe that we are ready is not just because INEC said it, it's not just because we have as much as possible some wide technology coverage, across all of Nigeria, but also because when we want things to work, we can make them work. And the next time somebody says that Nigeria is not ready, we should remind them that Nigeria is not just ready for transmission of results, but we have a provision in the NCC, the same institution that said that we were not ready. The NCC sits on top of what is called the Universal Services Provision Fund, which is a huge pot of money. And the purpose of that money is to make sure that we get last mile service in Nigeria. So there are two issues here. The first issue is that, yes, we're ready. There is no reason why we cannot transmit results from anywhere in Nigeria to anywhere else in Nigeria. And the second thing is, for those who want to give excuses, remember that you sit on top of the Services Provision Fund that is, was established for the exact same purpose of extending the frontiers of technology in Nigeria. So we are ready, and we already planned the resources for this.
I've been in Abuja for the past few weeks, and the last few days has been horrific in terms of network connection, especially internet. Internet, it's for a fact that it's not been passed into law. It's just in the process. So the president will still, there will be harmonization, then the president will have to sign when it's eventually passed by the both session of the National Assembly. But a quick one is that if you were to advise security agencies who deploy for elections based on electronic transmission, what would be your advice?
My advice is that we should have less deployment. But for now, they should deploy fully to observe. They should be there as observers. Because, in fact, like I said when we started, we don't have a situation where you grant all economic activities because there's election. Or the military. Where do you have the number of security agencies to deploy? Because we're having an election. So my advice is that they should concentrate on their primary responsibility of securing the nation and watch our politicians as things, events unfold.
Because it's not only the physical security now. Let me bring back Mr. Sheson as we wrap up the conversation. It's not only the physical security. We're going to be considering also the security of the entire gamut of the network, of the technology that is going to be deployed. On a final note, what are your thoughts on how to ensure, because Kaduna State had used for two different local government election cycles in Kaduna State, they've deployed the electronic technology for voting in Kaduna State. But what would you like to say to INEC in terms of security of the space? Should we go full-blown into electronic transmission of voting?
I would say to INEC what they already know. First is that it is extremely important to plan the entire process and have scenarios. Of course, there will be attempts to act. Of course, there will be attempts to manipulate. But that's why we have scenario planning. The second is to build redundancy. There will be failure. What will fail will fail. It's the same in the physical, it's the same, with digital. And the third I would say is that INEC, I hope, as followed the process in Kaduna, and they've seen what has been done. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. Not only that, I think that INEC also needs to talk to institutions and platforms that have done massive, huge scale voting. Talk to Big Brother. Talk to businesses that are already, running financial services, and they have systems that have worked. And then when you build based on this, it's an irony to me, it's an irony, Sheon, when you consider the fact that many of the people who sort of voted were trying to say that electronic voting, we're not ready for electronic voting or transmission, by the way, of results. I am sure some of them did electronic transfer of money, that same day, either before or after they made those statements. It doesn't happen in one day, but technology scenarios are planned over time. There are experts within INEC. I mean, I have personally had conversations with people at INEC, and I know that even between then and now, they have also added more people to their team. Nigeria has more than enough technical capacity. If INEC needs help, the entire ICT and tech community in Nigeria is waiting to offer their services to INEC so that we can do this and move away from processes that certain politicians are able to manipulate more easily because they know the game. It's time for us to disrupt elections in Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga Sheson. I must sincerely also thank you, Mr. Mike Ejo, for former DSS Director and Security Expert. Gbenga Sheson is the Executive Director of Paradigm Initiative and an ICT expert. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on. So the breaking news that we're following for you before we take a break, let's tell you that the federal government has now set a deadline of the 1st of December for all government personnel to be vaccinated. Breaking news right here on Channels Television. The federal government has set the 1st of December 2021 as a deadline for all government personnel to be vaccinated. The federal government also today, through the Presidential Steering Committee, had also removed South Africa, Brazil, and Turkey from COVID-19 restriction list. This is some of the breaking news that we're following for you. Stay with us right here on Channels Television. Details will be on our bulletin at the top of the hour. But we'll take a break, and when we return, APC National Youth Leader Ismail Ahmed will join us to discuss the recent developments in the APC. The 2023 game plan, it does look like the party is winning more souls to on their side. We'll be right back for more. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, and welcome back to the program. We told you about the breaking news that we're following for you right here. You can see right there on your screen that the federal government has set the 1st of December 2021 as a deadline for all government personnel to get vaccinated. And it has also expunged on its restriction list for COVID-19, Turkey, Brazil, and South Africa. You can get the details right here on Channels Television, or go quickly to our website and you get all the details you need to know about it, especially because if you are a government official or you're planning to travel to some of these countries. Let's go into our second issue for tonight. The National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress APC Caretaker Committee, Senator John Akpan-Uduaghan, has inaugurated the party's State Congress Committee chairmen and secretaries, charging them to sustain the gains already made by the party's leadership. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in Abuja, the secretary appeals to the newly inaugurated party officials to work hard and prevent disagreement that could affect the party's fortunes in 2023. He also applauds the Senate for okaying electronic transmission of elections results for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Take a listen to Senator Akpan-Uduaghan.
Just yesterday, the Senate okayed the direct mode of primaries for nomination of candidates and also electronic transmission of results subject to harmonization by the Joint Committee of the National Assembly. Party members can now appreciate the wisdom of the leader of our party, President Muhammad Buhari, when he pushed that the party be taken back to the grassroots. Therefore, it behoves on us as party leaders to sustain the progress we have made and the gain we have recorded thus far. We expected that every bickering be nipped in the bud. So, we circled the wagons and approached the 2023 election as a unit. As chairmen and secretaries of the state congresses committees, you are expected to conduct yourself in a manner that endangers confidence in the process. You all were carefully selected based on your proven records. The party trusts in your strength of character, integrity, and capacity to be fair. We expect the very best from you all.
There you have it. That is the Secretary of the APC, Senator Akpan Oduadeye. Well, over the last few days, there have been a lot of overtures on the 2023 presidential race. Major players within the APC, the ruling party, have come up with support for different personalities in the party. The names of former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu, has come up. There is a support group called Swagger. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, his name has also come up with a support group called the Progressives Group. There are different support groups now in the APC conversing for different people. There are other names, Yaya Bello of Kogi State, Kaude Fayemi of Ekiti State. These are some of the names. Goswe Apabio, the Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi. All these are names that have come up about those who are possible to run for the office of the president on the platform of the APC. And the analysis goes on and on. But what are the chances of the APC, considering what the main opposition PDP is also doing in their own circle, and the calculations and the zoning debate, all of these issues? Let's speak with the national youth leader of the APC, Mr. Ismail Ahmed. He joins us now right here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Ismail, for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
First and foremost, there's a group in your party. They say they are not youth anyways, but there are a few young people amidst them. And we had one of them who said that there is now a major problem in the party, that the party needs rebirth, that in fact there is a strong element of imposition because of these issues of consensus. They are aggrieved, and they say the party is in a very dangerous position right now.
Well, first of all, I don't think the party is in a dangerous position, so to speak. But I understand that in the last one year plus that we have been saddled with the responsibility of running the party, I think we have done incredibly well, looking from where we're coming from. We came from a situation where we lost a couple of states during the ballot, during the election. We lost some states before we got into election. We lost some states through court cases. We lost Zamfara and Bayelsa through, as far as I'm concerned, pure injustice of the courts. We lost Bauchi and we lost Adamawa during the election. We lost Oyo. You know, we could have won Oyo. Oyo was our state. We lost Oyo. We lost. I think a couple of few states. Yeah, so a couple of few states. Looking at where we are coming from, and now, fast forward a year later, we have gained a couple of few states, and we are gaining momentum. We're going strong as we go along. I don't think the party is in a dangerous place, but I understand when members of the party are not comfortable with certain things that go on in certain places, especially because to them, consensus just means whoever has the authority in that particular area just decides who he wants and then stamps on it and said that is consensus. But we in the party, we have given a clear rule on how consensus should be reached. There are guidelines to that. There is a constitutional provision to that. And then we have laid out all kind of processes, from appeal processes, and then it will come to us, as a matter of fact, before we approve it. So, of course, people are aggrieved, and this, you have to understand that for the first time in 20 years, since 2003, 2023 will be an election that will be truly in all senses an all-comers fight, where there will be no incumbent running for re-election in the presidency, and there is no President Muhammadu Buhari running because he has been more or less like an incumbent in the opposition from 2003 all the way to 2015 until we won election. So it's truly an all-comers fight. There's a lot of people who are interested. There will be a lot of postulations and a lot of speculations around, and there will be people who would suggest second-guess There will be a lot of that. And this is such a popular party. We have demonstrated capacity to win elections on the ground. So I can understand the aggrieved members of the party, and then we can talk about that.
One issue they raised, which is very critical for a lot of the leaders and members of the party, is that it's like deja vu for them, because what happened to your party to the extent that Adams Oshiomhole was removed, they said that is replaying itself again.
Like what?
The issue of imposition, that's what they alleged. No. Right there where you were seated is one where Ayoyala or one of the members of that group said.
Well, I think we have to go with specifics. I don't think it's about, I don't think we have, as a party, that we have made impositions like that. I don't think we have. I don't believe
he gave examples.
Like what?
Lagos, Osun State.
There
were parallel congresses in Osun State.
No. Are you talking about congresses, or are you talking
those
about
are the
elections?
Congresses. The outcome of the congresses is what they.
No. There will always be. You see, there will always be people that would be aggrieved if they are parallel congresses. So we have issues. There are particular states that we have particular issues with, no doubt about it. You know, but to say that the whole gamut of the congresses was a failure because we have some silo states where we have problems, it's absolutely not true. But yes, we have issues in Osun State and some couple of few other states that we've had problems.
They are saying these issues are just like a mirror of what has happened before.
And then we have to do all we can to make sure that we resolve them.
But do you agree to what they say, that the party needs a rebirth?
I think the party is going through a rebirth, but it needs a lot of, we are hoping that by the time that we have a new set of leadership, elected leadership at the national level, we already have at the Ward Congress, Ward and local government, and we're going to have state congresses on Saturday, that hopefully when we have substantive leadership of the party, at the end of this exercise, the caretaker committee would have enough time to be able to reconcile some of these issues. There will be reconciliations, no doubt about it, as we go along, because these things are not going to fizzle away. There will always be someone who is aggrieved.
But when will the convention be, really?
I think that's a decision for NEC, and NEC is waiting for the conclusion of the state congresses, and then there will be a meeting, and NEC will set up.
So you see, this is one of the things that they are not happy about. I think that there is this hush-hush kind of
situation. It's not hush-hush. Anybody who is a party... No.
Why are you not making it public?
No, because
why is it
NEC has not sat down... No, hold on. NEC has not sat down to agree on a date. It will. It's as simple as that. PDP did the same thing. Why isn't everyone shouting? PDP waited till after
the... convening NEC?
After state congresses. Then there will be a date for NEC, and NEC will decide when the convention will happen. Convention will happen... It's not a matter of if, it is when. It must happen.
Will it happen this year?
Absolutely.
Before the end of December?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's news, actually. Let's take a look at what we've been saying in your party. Defections and defections that people, your party have been on the receiving side. Several governors have joined your party. The likes of Chief Fenikau, they also joined your party. We've seen Dr. Okeke from Abia and Anambra State join your party. Are you happy with that?
Absolutely.
What does it mean for your party?
It means that we are increasing numbers. And then we're having a lot of people that would come in and would come in with their bag of support. Why not?
And
which political party?
And their baggages too.
Yeah, I don't kid myself. There are some people that are joining APC and there are some people that are joining APC's government. There are two different things and we know the difference.
So because the issue now comes to the question of philosophy and ideology, that your party says, this is who we want to be, this is how we want to run. In fact, you're in the early stage of the life of this party, you identified yourself as a welfareist, the left of the center.
As progressives.
That's the ideology, left of the center.
As progressives.
That's what you said your party is.
Yes, progressives.
But now you're having a lot of people come. It's now what they say, outcomes are fair.
No, the party is not changing. They are changing for the party. The party is not changing for them.
That's so you can welcome anybody, no matter who they are.
It's a political party. It's an association of where people are welcome. So if you are coming, we have particular mantra before you come.
Even those who heavily criticize your party.
I'm not very happy about some people. Yes.
Why are you not happy?
Because I don't think they have. But that's my personal opinion. I'm a party leader. I'm not allowed to share my personal opinion on certain things. But I will share this. There are certain people that I'm not comfortable with. But it's not about me. It's about the political party.
Why are you not comfortable with them?
I don't know, because of the same reason you mentioned, because they roundly criticize the party, they roundly criticize our our president, our leaders of the party, not only did they criticize them on political issues, it was personal, it was deep-seated, it was hatred, there was anger, there was a pathological hate that was coming from some of the things that they did. And I just take an exception to that.
You've heard this saying, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are.
Well, we are,
so your party is an association, and the kind of
it's
friends
not association of friends, it's not association of people.
Well, you have party members, they are friends.
Well, not all party members are friends. Not all party members are friends. There are certain people that I probably would never be friends with.
So you will not welcome your enemy into your home?
It's not my home.
Your party is your home, politically
No. What I'm saying, yes, politically speaking, that's why it's not my decision to make alone. There's for every person that I see as somebody that I cannot welcome, somebody else might see a good reason to welcome him. So I cannot superimpose my opinion or the way I feel on a structure of a party that belongs to millions of people. We have 40 million members. I cannot decide. But I personally, there are certain people that I know are not joining APC as a political party. They are joining us because we're in government. And I know the difference.
Who are those people?
I don't worry about that.
No, tell us.
I'm a leader of the party. I'm not going to call names.
You don't want to name?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I'd like to get your view. You're a lawyer. What happened in the Senate and the House? I mean, this transmission of result, the amendment to the Electoral Act, particularly as a leader of the party, the issue of direct or indirect primaries. Now they're going for direct primaries. Do you think this is good for the APC? Direct primaries?
Yes, I think it is good for the party, for the APC. I think it is because it's a party that has been built on direct primaries. The last election we held, the last primaries we held was direct. And I think it encourages inclusivity. But this is where I have a bit of an issue. And, you know, I probably will run into a lot of problems, into trouble with this, because as a leader of the party, again, I'm not allowed to say my personal opinions on certain things, but I would say this.
You can make exceptions.
You are not the one who is going to put me in trouble.
I said, no, you can make an exception to some very important...
You know, okay, so this is the situation. This is what I think. APC will welcome direct primaries. It's what we've always advocated for. My issue, you know, with the government... now in the National Assembly, legislating for political parties on how to conduct their primaries and giving them no choice than only one choice is a bit of a quagmire for me. It's a political horror show waiting to happen for other political parties that are not as versatile and are not as big, and they do not have the resources. Just say, let me give you, for example, my state, Kano. We have 44 local governments. We have 484 wards. And if you are going to do direct primaries, you are going to do them in 484 wards. So, for example, if you are given a window of 1 week for all political parties to do their primaries, so 20 political parties want to throw up candidates. 20 political parties would have to go to 484 wards and conduct primary elections within 1 week.
It would be chaotic in your
I think so.
Thinking.
I think so. I think so. So I think that as much as I know it's coming from a good place, from the National Assembly, and it's something that I welcome, I would like to see my party participate in it. And I know for a fact that we as a party, we would have done, even if this provision did not come in the Constitution, we probably would have ended up doing direct primaries anyways. But I think the legislation takes away the democracy and the freedom of the party to decide on its own for that. I think that is my issue with the legislation itself. But I think for my party, which is big enough, and we know we have members and we are an inclusive party, I think it's something that I'm proud of.
In the cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari, and I'd like you to make an exception to this because you've made a few exceptions, and this will not put you into trouble. When you're in trouble, just call me. I'll bail you out. The cabinet had done a retreat.
Right.
Some people are advocating that the president needs to rejig his cabinet. Do you think so?
It's absolutely prerogative of the president. I'm not going to mention it.
But
I'm not only a
Make
youth
an
leader.
exception.
I'm an SSA to the president.
If you are, just call on me.
No, I
you
think
have my mobile number. I will rescue you.
I think that's the absolute prerogative of the president to do.
But you know the yearnings of Nigerians and the youth, a sector that you represent in your party. Are they clamoring? Do they want a rejig?
We have written our own concerns to the president and our own report after we held the Progressive Youth Conference. The president has listened to us. He has given us an audience. We're seeing him very soon. So yeah, I will leave it at that. The president he's entirely within his right to do as he pleases.
Do you think that
is absolutely his cabinet
is 100% is up to par with what the expectations? You are one of those who climbed the podium to campaign for your party.
Yes, and I will do it again and again.
Can you boldly beat your chest that your party and the cabinet that you have put forward is the best that Nigeria deserves?
I think we inherited a very terrible system. I think that's what we did. We're trying to reject the system. I think to individualize government and put it down to the ability of one person or two people to be able to write a system that has been wrong for so many years is absolutely unfair on the person. But let me tell you this. We are trying to rejig the system for as much as we can. And as a party, ultimately we'll have to write our report to the president whether or not we are comfortable with certain things, and I'll leave it at that.
I'd like us to wrap up the conversation on the 2023 game plan of your party. I see that there's a lot of undercurrent, there's a lot of work in the dark, and now some of it are coming into the open. PDP is confident that they're going to beat you to your game.
They've said that in 2015, right? And they were in power. We beat them. They said that again in 2019. We beat them. We are not cocky people. We are not condescending, right? And we are not going to tell them that they don't mean anything, because any right-thinking politician knows that no matter how minute an opposition is, it can grow, you know, and it can become a behemoth. So I'm not going to tell you that PDP doesn't mean anything to us, because that would not be true.
They say you are afraid.
But I'm confident. I'm confident from what I've seen. I'm being in opposition for, what, 12 years, 13 years before we got into government. I don't see PDP defeating us now.
They say you are afraid of a few names, like Atiku Abubakar.
Who said that?
Like Tambuwal. That's what the PDP feel. That as soon as they drop those names and they appear on the ballot, that your party is in disarray.
And if I can remember clearly, we defeated the same Atiku Abubakar in 2019.
And you think you can
do it again?
If Abubakar runs again, you think you can beat him?
Well,
or Tambuwal runs?
As far as I'm concerned, we defeated Atiku Abubakar in 2019 in the general election. Buhari defeated him in 2014 in the primaries. And, you know, Tambuwal was defeated in their primaries in 2019. So there is no one person that would say would send jitters to a whole party like an APC. But like I said earlier, we do not underestimate anyone.
So, but the kind of names that have come up in your party, VP Oshibaja said, well, he's not involved in those calculations. His office has officially come out to say that, but his name has come up. Bola Tinubu, his name has come up. It's the kind of quality that you think you're boasting about tonight.
If there's one thing I'm absolutely confident of, is that we have the best presidential quality materials in APC. There's no doubt about it. Call any name. But as a party, if we have not started selling forms, if you have not picked a form, if you have not declared interest, if you have not come to us and tell us that you are running for president, it's all speculation. I cannot be part of speculations.
What is your biggest fear? The kind of mistake that you think your party shouldn't make to win an election?
Is to neglect the young people.
What about zoning?
I want it to be, as 2015 election was about change for APC, 2023 must be about the youth. That would be the language. The party must make itself attractive to young people.
Is your party going to consider zoning?
Of course it has to.
And will it be south?
I don't know that. That's a decision for the party to make.
Ismail Hamad, National Youth Leader of the APC, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you tonight.
Thank you for having me as well.
I appreciate it. But that's our program for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okimaloye. Bye for now.